Okay, and lastly, before we end this segment on headlines and how to talk to your target market, let's go over one last thing. I know I've talked about this a few moments ago, but again, I just want to go over it because it's so important. I do repeat myself every now and then if you've noticed, and I only do it though when there's something that's so important that rather than even take notes on, I'll repeat it, and this bears repeating. When it comes to your target market or your niche market, you need to know one thing. You need to know is what is their fantasy. Hugely important. Just what is the thing that they daydream about and fantasize about, and then you need to know what makes them mad. Anger is a huge part of marketing. It all ties in with avoidance of pain and gaining pleasure. So know what makes them mad and frustrated. And also, always keep in mind, what are they scared of? Again, that's the fear part. You've got to know what your target market is scared of before you're ever going to be able to write effective ad copy. It helps if you know what their pet peeves are. Some things are they're not huge. They're not a huge piece of anger or frustration, but they're just a little pet peeve, and those are good to identify too. So all these things I've just gone over with you are equally important, and you should give them all an equal amount of attention when it comes to crafting some headlines or ad copy. And one of the items I just mentioned is something you not only should be addressing, but it's actually going to make them trust you even more. And that's the question of, who are they mad at? If you can answer the question of who your prospect or who your market's mad at, and if you can show that market or that person or that prospect that you're just as angry at that person or that organization as they are, then you've just made a great friend and you've just closed a sale. Okay, now let's talk for a moment about the cost of acquiring new customers. As a rule of thumb, most online marketers and offline marketers understand that you're not always going to make a profit on the very first sale of your very first customer. Oftentimes, that very first sale is just a grabber, or it's just what they call in brick and mortar business. They call it the loss leader, and it's the whole idea is that later on you'll make money off that customer, and under this whole idea, you're doing whatever it takes just to get them as a customer, and sometimes you end up actually paying more in advertising to get that first new customer and to close that first sale than you make in profit on that first sale or that first customer, just to basically get them out on your list, or just to get them to know you, just to develop a business relationship with them. So oftentimes you end up spending more in advertising to get that first new customer and to get that first new sale than you actually even make in profit. You do that just because you want to get them on your list, and you just want to get them to know you and trust you and to have a business relationship with you. There's a lot of times you can actually make a big profit on the first sale, or off the first dealing with a new customer, but it's always best if you just don't plan on that. It's great if you can do it, but just plan on making your money, your big money, on the second and maybe third transaction with that customer, and that way you'll be less intimidated to be a little aggressive in getting a new customer, and that's the way it should be. You should be willing to spend more than you make every time you get a new customer. And always remember this: it's going to cost you just as much money in advertising to get a customer to spend $20 with you as it's going to cost to get a customer to spend, say, $900 with you. So if you'd like to give yourself and your business and your website a huge economical advantage over everyone else, figure out a way to have a very, very expensive product, and make sure it's worth it, but figure out some way to make a product or have a product that's very expensive. You'll notice in my courses, for example, that's how I figured it out. That they're very much worth it. I have no complaints. My refund rate is incredibly low. Most people hold on to this stuff that I create and produce as if it's gold, and I'm so thankful for that, but it allows me to have a very expensive product. So my economics work so well that I can spend far more money than my competitors can on advertising. The biggest mistake I see with most online marketers is the fact that they all seem to want to charge a very low price. they all think that by giving their stuff away practically free, that's going to drive so many sales that the volume will make it very profitable for them. And so they want to just give their stuff away cheap. Their constant goal seems to be to beat the competitor, constantly discount price, slash the price there, and just keep lowering it. And that's the hugest mistake you could possibly make. And most people in my little niche market of creating courses, if they put together a binder with some written course material and some CDs, their first instinct is usually that they should charge about $29 or $39 for it. And again, huge mistake.